The invitation had been elegant. The dean of Harvard Law School cordially invites you to a reception honoring this year's top graduates and their families. My son, Leo, was among them. He'd begged me to come, to be there for this moment. Just be mom, okay? No robes, no bench, just you. So I came as just mom. I wore simple, expensive black, a silk blouse, tailored trousers, low heels. I carried no briefcase, only a small clutch. I arrived early, my heart swelling with a pride so fierce it felt private. The grand hall was already buzzing with the sound of ambition and old money. I saw Leo across the room, laughing with a group of friends, his arm around the waist of a beautiful, sharp-eyed blonde, Sarah, the girlfriend he'd spoken of with a mix of awe and caution. Her dad's a founding partner at Thorne and Sterling, he'd said. He thinks the sun rises and sets on precedent and pedigree. I made my way toward them, but a young man in a staff blazer stepped smoothly into my path. "Catering staff entrance is around the back through the kitchen, ma'am," he said politely, gesturing with a tray of empty glasses. "You can check in with the event coordinator there." I blinked. A lifetime of command responses rose to my tongue. I am a United States Circuit judge. But Leo's plea echoed in my ears. Just be mom. I offered a benign smile. "I'm actually a guest." The staffer's eyes flicked over my understated outfit, my lack of obvious jewelry, my hands, which were admittedly carrying a wrapped gift for Leo that could be mistaken for a delivery. "Of course," he said, not believing me, "but all service personnel need to use the rear entrance, university policy." Rather than cause a scene at my son's big day, I inclined my head. "Lead the way." He ushered me through a set of swinging doors into the chaotic, steamy brilliance of the institutional kitchen. "Wait here, someone will be with you," he said, before disappearing back into the glittering world. I stood there, holding my son's gift, amid the clatter of pans and the shouted orders of the head chef. It was absurd, and, to a part of me that remembered being a scholarship student among legacies, darkly amusing.
I decided to wait a moment to see how long it would take for someone to realize the error. I found a relatively quiet corner near a pantry door, which was slightly ajar, offering a sliver of a view into the main hall. That's when I saw them. Leo, Sarah, and a man who could only be her father, tall, silver-haired, wearing a suit that cost more than my first car. He had a hand on Leo's shoulder, a patronizing, assessing gesture. He was holding court. My son's face was a careful mask of respectful attention, but I knew him. I saw the tightness in his jaw. Then Sarah's father, whose voice carried the confident boom of a man used to being heard, leaned in and said, not unkindly, but with absolute dismissal, "Leo, a word of advice. Perception is everything in this world. You see that woman?" He nodded subtly toward the kitchen doors, probably a cleaning lady who wandered in. "You must be meticulous about the company you keep, the associations you allow. People will judge you by the lowest person in your orbit. Keep that cleaning lady away from your professional circle. In fact," he chuckled, "keep her away from the canapes." Sarah let out a tinkling, complicit laugh. Leo's mask cracked for a second, revealing a flash of something like fury before he controlled it. The words should have felt like a slap. Instead, they felt like a verdict being handed to me on a silver platter. I looked at the man, Robert Sterling, I presumed, dispensing his wisdom on pedigree and perception. The man whose firm had a major antitrust case, Sterling Global versus the People, currently pending before my court. A case he was supremely confident about. I felt the weight of my judicial credentials in my clutch. I could have ended the charade right then, but showing your cards too early, as any good jurist knows, forfeits the power of revelation. A slow, serene smile spread across my face. I picked up a stray, clean towel from a counter, draped it over my arm for effect, and walked calmly out of the kitchen, back into the reception, blending into the periphery.
The dean stepped up to the podium, tapping the microphone. The crowd hushed. Before we begin, we have a very special honor tonight. We are privileged to have with us a jurist whose opinions are studied in these very halls, a guardian of the Constitution, and, as it happens, the proud mother of one of our stellar graduates. Leo's head snapped up. He searched the crowd, finally finding me at the back, near the kitchen door. His eyes went wide. The dean continued, his voice ringing with genuine reverence. She graciously agreed to offer a few words of wisdom to our future guardians of the law. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to the Honorable Victoria Thorne, Judge for the United States Court of Appeals for the First Circuit. The applause was polite, then building. Robert Sterling clapped, looking around with a pleased, proprietary expression for this distinguished guest. I let the applause peak. I let the anticipation build. Then I walked. I didn't walk like staff. I walked with the measured, undeniable authority of a woman who commands a courtroom. The crowd parted. I saw the exact moment Robert Sterling's eyes tracked my path from the back of the room, from the direction of the kitchen, and landed on my face. His confident smile faltered, then vanished. Confusion, then dawning, horrified recognition washed over him. He looked at Leo, who gave him a small, cold smile, then back at me. I reached the podium, shook the dean's hand, and turned to the microphone. I let my gaze sweep the room, pausing just a beat too long on Robert Sterling's now pale, frozen face. "Thank you, Dean, and thank you for not directing me to the service entrance," I began, my voice warm, carrying just enough edge to make the room titter with nervous, confused laughter. "It's a pleasure to be here tonight, not as a judge, but simply as a mother. Though in my experience, the two roles are not so different. Both require you to listen carefully, to weigh evidence without prejudice, and to always be wary of those who judge the contents of a book or a person by its cover." The room was utterly silent. Robert Sterling looked as if he might be ill. Sarah was staring at her father, then at me, her face a mask of shock. "My son, Leo," I said, my voice softening as I found him in the crowd, his chest swelling with pride, "taught me tonight a profound lesson about dignity and about letting ignorance reveal itself. And to the class of future lawyers before me, I offer this final, non-binding advisory. True power doesn't need to announce itself. It simply is. And it often waits, quietly, to see what the world will reveal about itself first." I didn't look at Robert Sterling again. I didn't need to. The verdict was in. His perception, his precious social calculus, had just been permanently, publicly, and irrevocably overturned. As I stepped down from the podium to embrace my son, the applause this time was thunderous, and the look on a certain founding partner's face was the most satisfying closing argument I'd ever witnessed.